Hey friends, how are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing so well, and welcome back to my channel for another video. If you guys don't know where I'm sitting, it's because I'm in a new house. We just moved across the country, and so I'm excited to be back in front of a camera and talking to you guys again. And I'm excited to share this new journey with you guys, but I also want to continue this journey that we've been on together where we talk about reselling, we talk about thrifting, we talk about clothing and how to make a profit by thrifting online. So today we're going to cover 5 ways that you can really make your listings pop. I know I get asked so many questions about listing items, whether that's on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, even Facebook Marketplace, things like that. I get asked these questions a lot, so I thought it'd be helpful to make a video where I can outline some of the best ways to make your listings as great as possible, and maybe you can implement a few of these things into something you're already doing and make your listings just that much better, which can lead to more sales. So that's the premise of today's video. Let's jump into it. It's gonna be snappy. We're gonna go through this quick. It's gonna be really to the point, and I hope you guys appreciate it. So if you guys like these sorts of videos, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and hit subscribe. Now, number 1, the best way, I think, one of the best ways, one of the top 5 ways to make your listings really pop is to take the time and white out the backgrounds of your pictures. Now, at least for me, I only remove the background out of the first image in my string of images for my listing. I only white out my first image. So the thumbnail for my listing, the very first one is the one that I will white out. I'll take the time and white that puppy out. And it just really gives your whole closet, if it's on Poshmark or on eBay or on Mercari, a really nice streamlined professional look. If you're looking on almost any actual website for clothing, most everybody will have the models either modeling with a white background or they will go through in the back end and white out backgrounds. It just really makes it look more cohesive. Sometimes you'll see other methods of like kind of using that cohesiveness, but on the whole, usually whiting out is going to help you out a lot. Sometimes backgrounds can really be distracting to the eye, and so you will not even notice the piece of clothing in its entirety. And so if you have it in your closet, just that every first photo is whited out, that's really going to be helpful for your store. So that's the number 1 thing that you can do to make your listings pop. And if that seems confusing, like how do you remove a background or how do you make it white? I like to use a free app called Photo Room, and I will put the little logo up here for Photo Room because it is free. It's in the App Store, and it will automatically just go through and look and see your background, remove it very easily, very nicely. So I use that. This video is not sponsored by Vendoo, but they have also teamed up with Photo Room. And so now in Vendoo, when you're cross-listing, you can also remove the photo background with Photo Room, which is really nice. So I would use a software to remove that for me. And I do. Every time I list, it's absolutely a game changer. I've seen so many more sales since doing that. Number 2, another way to make your listings pop is to use stock photos when available. Now, I know that this is a little bit divisive. Some people really like using stock photos, some people don't. But for me, I find them to be super helpful. Now, the thing about stock photos is it shows your pieces in the most flattering light if you're able to find the actual stock photos. And by stock photos, I mean the pictures of your items from the original seller. So if you have a piece that you're selling that's from Madewell, finding the Madewell picture of the item that you're trying to sell, it's so valuable. And I think that a lot of people shy away from using stock photos, but for me, I use them all the time, and it's so helpful because I know you might be a lot of things, but chances are that you are not a professional model and a professional photographer and a professional photo editor all at the same time. So somebody has been hired to sit down to pick out who is going to be modeling which piece to make it the most flattering. Somebody's been hired to model those clothes. Somebody's been hired to take those photos. Somebody's been hired to edit those photos. There's a lot that goes into stock photos, and it's already been done for you. So some different platforms that you sell on, a lot of things on usually eBay and Poshmark, in my opinion, are kind of the most strict. Some of them will take down listings if they use stock photos, but usually it's only certain brands. So you have to be careful. I know on eBay, if you use a Madewell stock photo, you won't be able to list that piece. So you just kind of have to be aware of what places will not let you use stock photos, but oftentimes you can. And I really do not feel bad at all about using them. I think that the work's already been done. It's a picture of the piece of clothing that I am listing from that particular brand. Like, I think that that's totally fine personally, but you have to make that decision for yourself. But stock photos really help to sell garments because you can see it on an actual person. And how many times have you been asked to model something that you've been selling? If you haven't yet, it will happen eventually, I promise you. So stock photos can be really helpful in that way. And the way that I find stock photos, I get asked this a lot. I go in, I'm gonna actually show you guys on my phone because I get asked this all the time, and I'm gonna probably just show you up on a screen grab too. So this is the actual app that you use. It's this G one, this Google app. I use reverse image searching to find my pieces. So I will pick up a piece, and then when I take my own photos, I still will take photos of all my pieces. I won't only use stock photos. One of my pet peeves is when people only use stock photos of an item. You still want to know that they have the item that you are wanting to buy, and so you want to see pictures from the actual seller. So stock photos are not the only thing you need to put in your listing, but you want to use at least one, I usually think. So if you're able to find them. Now, after you take your own pictures, you're going to use this app, Google app, to reverse image search it. Now, depending on how good of a picture you take of your piece, oftentimes that will get me in the ballpark of what the item is. Sometimes it'll come up with something very similar to it, and then I will add in the name of the actual brand, and sometimes that will pinpoint it enough. Other times you'll find that you can find on the inside materials tag, sometimes it'll have a style name, and just by Googling the brand and that style name, sometimes you can find the stock photos. There's lots of different ways to do this. You have to be a little bit of a detective, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So it's really up to you if that time commitment is worth it to you. For me, it is, because once I find the stock photos, then I'm often able to also grab all of the details that were written by a professional content writer and marketer about the piece. So all of the information about where to wear it, what to do with it, and all of the things that they've already written and been paid to do, then I can use that information too. So that will really make my life easier when I go to list. And so for me, definitely worth it, but it might not be worth it for you, and that's okay. Number 3, another way to make your listing pop is to put information in your titles and not keyword shove. Now, a lot of people will stuff keywords into their titles and just be like ruffled, shirt, smocked, like tons and tons of words, as much as they can fit, but doesn't make a lot of sense. I do not suggest that, but I do suggest putting in good information in your titles. So I find what I like best in what I see in other listings is what I try to emulate in my own. What you see when you go onto another clothing website, something that you like to buy from, maybe it's Lululemon, maybe it is a different website. But what they usually put in their titles is what I would like to put in my titles when I am reselling. So for me, that looks like definitely starting off with if it's new with tags or not. That's almost always what I put first. The brand name comes next, and then a lot of people, sometimes they're looking for a specific piece. So if I have already done the reverse image searching and found a stock photo, I usually have the exact name that the brand named their piece. I'll put that in next. If I don't have the exact name of the piece, then I will do my best with the name. And for that kind of a thing, usually you'll go with a style. So if it's a boxy, oversized, cropped tee, that's exactly what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say boxy, oversized, cropped tee. Not keyword shoving, but just describing the piece in the best way that if somebody is looking for a kind of more boxy fit crop tee, that's exactly what they're gonna type in. And then once I have my kind of basic, this is the style of the piece, I'll go in with the color because some people are looking just for a specific color of item. And then at the end, I usually put the size. And then you have to be aware of what platform you're on. So if you're on eBay, I will almost always include in my title the condition of the item. So if it's in excellent condition, you want to say excellent in the title, or EUC, excellent used condition, or great condition, anything that will also say something about the condition. I don't think that's as necessary on something like Poshmark, but for eBay, I find it's been helpful. Those are kind of my guidelines for what to put in your title. It definitely will change from piece to piece, but something that I do not suggest is shoving as many keywords in as possible. I think giving the person reading your title a little bit of breathing room, some connecting pieces are helpful, and giving just what you need, but not everything you could ever dream of. You know what I mean? So I think that that helps listings pop when you have a concise title that has all the information but isn't crazy. You don't want a wish title. If you know what I mean, wish will literally throw everything but the kitchen sink in a title, and that is not helpful. Number 4, another way to make your listings pop, something that is a pet peeve of mine and always will frustrate me to no end, is when people do not include enough photos in their listings. So the way to make your listings pop is to include photos of every single thing that somebody might ask you a question about. I've included so many pictures in my listings, as many as humanly possible, and I still have gotten questions asked about my pieces. It just happens. If you can take a lot of questions away from somebody, if you can make it so they can't ask you them, it'll help you in the long run. It'll help you not receive as many questions, which is what we want to avoid. We want more sales and less time debating back and forth with people. So you can avoid questions by taking lots of pictures. So you take pictures of the front, the back, the sides, anything wrong with the piece, you take a picture of. If it's a pair of shoes, you take a picture of the underside of the shoes. If it's a pair of shoes, you take a picture of the tongue. You take a picture of literally anything somebody could ask you a question about. If you're taking a picture of clothing, make sure you get the materials tag and also the care tag, because people will ask you how to take care of the item. And get a picture of the neckline, get a picture if it has a lining, if it has pockets. There's just so many things you can avoid having problems with by being overly cautious and taking too many pictures, because I know you'll get asked if you don't. So I like to make my listings pop by including every single thing somebody could want to know. But number 5, the 5th way to make your listings pop is to be honest. A lot of people are on these apps, are on eBay selling things and aren't being super honest, are on Poshmark and aren't including everything that's wrong with something. It is so much better to be upfront and honest about anything that could be wrong with your piece. I would so much rather buy selling knowing what's wrong than to be excited about it, excited for days, weeks, and then receive it and have something be an issue. So if you think something is a little shrunk, it's better to include that in the listing. If there's a little tiny pinprick hole, better to say it than to not say it at all. I've been burned by this so many times. Or if you find something while you're packing something up after somebody's bought it and you didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but there turns out that there was, it's always better to be upfront and honest and tell people than to just hope it works out. It almost never works out, but also I do find that I like to shop from people's closets when they admit something's wrong. So if I'm looking at somebody's closet and maybe I'm looking at one piece and it says, oh, it has this flaw, this flaw, this flaw, maybe I don't want to buy that piece, but I'm so much more likely to buy something else from them that has no flaws, because I will know that there won't be flaws, that they would be honest with me if there were. So I think it's a better policy to just be honest overall and to make sure that you are representing your things as best you can. It definitely makes you a better seller, but also it makes your listings pop. So those are 5 tips to help you guys make your listings just that much better. If you're already doing all of these, that's amazing. Leave your comments down below telling me some other ways to make your listings really good, really great, make people want to click them. This is a great community where we help each other out. There's enough to go around. I promise you, if you're in this business, you have seen the excess, the waste, just all of the pieces of clothing, the pieces that people have donated that end up in the landfill. There's enough to go around. So definitely make sure to let me know which ways you guys think help increase your sales. And if any of these you haven't tried out yet, please go ahead and try them out. If you guys liked today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And until the next video, bye.